Stepping off the plane, it's so easy to breathe again. Life in the big city has finally took its toll. And it's been so long, but I'm finally home and what better place to rest my weary bones than on this beautiful island where there's so much to see. Every corner I turn, there's something there to remind me of my.
Oh yeah, Grenada, Carrico, Pity, Marnik, and the world. I'd like to welcome you to another night, another evening, another day of Mikey Life, people. This is where the thing happens. We tell you everything that you need to know, and we give you a little bonus too. It is the good, the bad, and the Mikey. I hope all are ready for some real news and thing now. Oh yeah. We have some first-time viewers on the program. And so to the first-time viewers, we want to say hello to you. Oh yeah. Real thing happened today. Post-cabinet brief. We had Nolan Cox, Minister for Culture and so on, talking about changes as we head into Spice Mass 2019. Real thing, people. Kiddies Carnival, they're switching it up a bit, bringing it back to its rightful place. Having a semi-final for Kiddies Carnival. Kiddies Carnival used to be big back in the day. I know what's going on now. We see that the Grenada Union of Teachers, they are trying to revive it. They're trying their utmost. They're trying their lily low. Earlier, we have to also tell all about a simulation exercise that's coming soon. Also, a reduction in the number of finalists in the major carnival shows. We're going to talk to you about that. New cultural ambassadors named. Them soca artists and them now. Fleeing nurses creating critical situation at Victoria Hospital in St. Lucia. Very interesting. Brian Lara rushed to hospital today with chest pain. We have an update on that for you. Flying fish population is on a decline. We are also going to be talking about that. And we have our accident report for you for today. All this, so brace all yourself. You see, when we come back, it's going to be real news in all the Lily Lolo. Now, we want to remind you that the headlines was brought to you through the kind compliments of Duty Free Caribbean, Colombian, Emos International, and WPG10.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom
For me and you.
I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. What a wonderful world.
Court Super Saver Sale is here with amazing deals of up to 50% off. Shop from Wednesday 5th.
The people say that is the best fete in the carnival. None of them holding secret for me. None of them The St. Andrews Development Organization, in collaboration with Mr. Elimas Gilbert, say Specky Show 2019 will be a movie. You must wear it. Love the rum more than the woman. From Trinidad and Tobago, the Calypsonian who empower women, singing Sandra.
The way you cock up like a bloody acrobat. The wife at home they can't, she can do that.
From St. Vincent, former Soca Monarch, Calypso and Road Match King, Posa. And top Grenadian artists. Stay tuned for more info. For vending, call 404-8131. Becky Show, August 4th, St. Andrews Rainbow City Festival weekend. The color is red.
The third annual Caribbean Comedy Show. Saturday, August 17th at Spice Basket. Stay locked for more.
I ultimate cut glass. You see what I done with it? You want to swear it razor grass. Look, I am a very, very serious man.
We all look forward to our retirement, enjoying our golden years with family, friends, and loved ones. The best way to secure an income during retirement is through investments, savings, and an NIS pension. Thanks to improvements in healthcare, Grenadians are living longer, healthier lives. These years also need to be covered by a pension to guarantee a comfortable life. Today you contribute 9% and retire at age 60, but as benefit expenses continue to rise and with longer lifespans, the NIS won't be able to provide pensions and other social security benefits at this rate. To continue providing benefits, the NIS will need to increase the contribution rate from 9% to 11%, a 2% overall increase shared between you and your employer. The retirement age will gradually increase from 60 to 65 over an extended period. Let's put this into perspective. If you earn $1,500 today, your contribution is $60 and your employer pays $75. With a 2% increase shared between you and your employer, you'll now pay $75 and your employer will pay $90. That's only a $15 increase. These are the types of social security changes being made worldwide. In fact, Grenada has one of the lowest pension age and contribution rate in the region. With these small changes, you'll be able to continue enjoying all social security benefits and retire between age 60 and 65 with the guarantee of a pension from the NIS. If these adjustments aren't made now, then by 2035, the NIS will need to increase your contribution rate to 22.5%. So, what can you do? Support the incremental changes and continue with the solidarity of the Grenadian people. A little change today for a convenient, happy future.
All right, people, so let's say welcome again to another Mikey Live program. And all you know, we want to start with the good and tell you about a school that's looking good. All right, and we are talking about the Paraclete Government School. Now, the Paraclete Government School in St. Andrew is now home to an amazing new library thanks to the GND Schools Inc. The library was officially opened on June 17, 2019. As it stands with all libraries given by GND Schools Inc., the Paraclete Government School Library is equipped with a new ceiling, tiled floor, electric fans and lights, secure windows, modern furniture, and a collection of over 800 new books. And the kids seem to have loved it. Of course, once it was launched, to see them children and them pick up one time and were having fun with their new books thanks to the GND Inc. And speaking of the GND Inc., what I can tell you is that 4 primary schools, 2 in Carriacou and 2 in St. Patrick, will soon have the use of fully functioning state-of-the-art libraries complements GND School Incorporated. Now, GND Schools Inc. got the green light to begin work on 4 libraries from the Ministry of Education on Tuesday, June 4th, 2019. Work began on the 14th of June to house the new libraries in Hillsborough Government and Harveyville Government Schools in Carriacou. commencement of library development work at the St. Patrick Anglican School and the St. Patrick RC School was scheduled for the week of July 17, 2019. Now, the objective of the library development program is to make improvements to existing public primary school library spaces. Now, at the Harveyville government, GND Schools Inc. will be constructing a brand new building to house the library, while retrofitting will be done at the St. Patrick Anglican School and refurbishment will take place at the St. Patrick RC and Hillsborough government schools. Now, the spaces will then be equipped with comfortable furnishing and age-appropriate books, making them appealing and suitable for fostering a habit of and love for reading. The library development is part of the GND School Inc. continuing its thrust to enhance the library and literacy development of the nation's primary school students through its BIG vision of building libraries, increasing educational achievement, and growing learners. All right. To date, 19 libraries have been successfully completed and launched in public primary schools across Grenada. Audio, please give them a round, and I'm talking about a lusty round of applause, anything on the program, to let these people of the GND Inc. know how much you appreciate what they have been doing in the schools around Grenada. Of course, when they see that, they will feel appreciated. I'm just saying. We are moving on, folks. We want to tell you more good news that's happening. All right? I feel now I got to pay me just now, I ain't talking that just so, Anyway, I just stumbled on this and I wanted to share with you. And Nawasa team, they say, is currently doing work in Gulf Coast, where a line replacement is ongoing as the company moves to replace aged infrastructure, thereby improving supplies consistency. The Gulf Coast Jean Anglais areas was identified by NAWASA as having frequent breakages, resulting in consumers being constantly affected by interruptions in their water supply. Now, as such, in keeping with the company's drive to reduce the frequency of interruptions due to the damaged lines, approximately 7,000 feet in a combination of 4 and 6-inch pipes is being laid from Gulf Coast through to the vicinity of the Spring Supermarket. Residents, you will experience some interruptions during the course of the 2-month project. However, they are urging you to have a little bit of patience and understanding during the period as they work towards the improvement of service to you. See the man them raising pipe boy, and I see there's a lady there, she just admiring the work going on in she area, you know what I mean? Right. Earlier, we are moving on. How we looking? Now the Royal, get that one here. Now the Royal Grenada Police Force, they are currently coordinating a simulation exercise under the pseudonym Tropical Storm Angel Eyes, and that is to test its preparedness for the 2019 Atlantic hurricane season. Now the exercise, which commenced on Tuesday 25th June 2019, will culminate on Thursday 27th June 2019 with 2 mock incidents at the River Road and the Villa in St. George's respectively. Members of the public, you are urged not to panic when in receipt of information relating to the exercise or notice the movements of emergency response teams within the 2 areas stated, and between the hours of 12 p.m. or 12 noon and 4 p.m. on June 27th. Simulation exercise Tropical Storm Angel Eyes is aimed at according members of the Royal Grenada Police Force are affording them the opportunity to further enhance their response and understand their respective roles while responding to emergency situations. Again, when you see the simulation exercises happening on June 27th between 12 noon and 4 p.m., don't panic and don't call me and give me no picture and tell me, oh, something happening. It is a simulation exercise, Tropical Storm Angel Eyes. We are moving on. The Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force advises the general public, in particular motorists, that Mars Hill St. George is affected by an oil spill and motorists traveling said road may experience a little discomfort when you're driving. So please approach this area with extreme caution. There's an oil spill there at the Maras Hill area. Please be guided accordingly. Olia. Cultural Minister Senator Nolan Cox at a recently held post-cabinet briefing, well, that is today, announced that there will be a reduction in the number of acts to participate in the Calypso, Groovy and Soca final competitions for Spice Mass 2019. Now this year, there will be only 10 artists in each competition, compared to 2018 where 11 participated in the Dimanche Gras, 17 in Soca Monarch and 14 in the Groovy Monarch. He says that they believe that 10 is a good number. You know, he says that they have been receiving a lot of complaints and so on about the length of the shows and so on. So they had to take the necessary steps.
As we move forward with the March Gras, as most persons would aware that is one of the marquee Spice Mass marquee events that has not been performing at its utmost best. And as SMC, we took a decision to ensure that we focus on that particular event this year to see how we can improve it. And in dialogue with stakeholders, we decided to make some changes and some improvements. And the first improvement that we thought that would be good to help increase the quality of the show was to reduce the amount of persons in the finals. We see previously ranging from, in some cases, as much as 13, 14 persons in 13, as much as 13 in Calypso. Soca, we had as much as 17, I believe, 16, 17, I think 16 in Groovy, 17 in Soca. So it was quite a large number, and so we have revised those numbers downwards, and now we're looking at 10, inclusive of the defending monarch and the People's Choice artists. So there'll be 10 for Calypso, 10 for Groovy, and 10 for Soca.
And not all Soca artists, not all Calypsonians, and not all participants in the respective competitions are in agreement with such move. However, Senator Cox said that he believes that this is going to help with the quality of show that the patrons would receive. Senator Cox also revealed that there will be an increase in the prize monies to be received by the top 4 finishers in each competition, ranging between 10 and 15%. The government of Grenada on Tuesday appointed 6 soca artists as the new cultural ambassadors of the country and presented them with their certificate of cultural ambassadorship. The 6 blessed Grenadians are reigning Groovy Monarch. Yo, Dash people. All the Dash get a green passport. You know what I mean? My boy fix up and ting the dog. Watch my boy flex, eh? Dash. Alright. Then we have a former Jab, forever Jab, Mandela Links. We had Hector, Mr. Lex Thomas, the Grenadian bad boy Javon, Von John, and the dynamic Was Ways duo, and reigning soca monarch Lil Natty and Thunder. The tourism minister, the youth minister. So we had the tourism minister Clarice Modest Cohen, we had the youth minister Kate Lewis, and infrastructure minister Gregory Bowen, who is currently the acting prime minister. They presented the little plaques and the documents and thing to the members, and the little passport and thing, and the boys flex with their passport, boy. Now their appointments was on the result of the of their commendable performances at the International Soca Monarch held in Trinidad early this year, with 5 of the 6 placed in the top 3 of the competition, with Dash being the only one who didn't represent. The eventual winner of the event, Mr. Killer, was already appointed, so that's why you don't see Mr. Killer there today. Now the new ambassadors were presented with a green colored passport, which will, listener, it will allow them easier access to countries who recognizes the passport, making life easier for them to get through immigration and onto customs clearance, that, you know, where they just have to get a little the thing and, you know, go right out. You understand? So it's a hassle-free travel for these men. Yeah? You understand what's going on there? Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Culture, Desiree Stephen, explained to each of the artists the terms and conditions for which they are to adhere to as the cultural ambassadors. Now, one of the terms explained was the revocation of the passport, in which he said anything that can bring in dispute to the holder by the extension, and by extension the country, can result in the revocation. Now, she also spoke about some of the requirements of the ambassador.
Morning ceremony is that of the signing of an agreement, and there are certain terms and conditions in there, and I know most of them, if not all of them, you are already doing. One of the key ones that we want to focus a lot on is that of mentoring. And you're asked to mentor at least 3 young persons, upcoming artists, persons who might be interested in the art. And I know that some of you, if not all of you, are already doing that. And we said 3 in there, but it doesn't mean that you have to stop at 3. You can do 10, you can do 20. But we want to focus a lot on that and mentoring. You know what you would have gained from this exposure, being an international recognized artist. So we want to see a lot more young persons developing and reaching where you are right now and even going further. So we want you to really take this seriously. As I said, we know that you're doing a lot already. You're already contributing. We can call on you to represent. We have something going on in the diaspora and we need somebody to represent Grenada. We know we can call on you. So we want you to continue doing what you're doing.
All right, thank you very much. Of course, these appointments were well received by the entertainers. Of course, they all were seen on social media today, posting pictures and, you know, congratulating themselves and their colleagues. They took the moment to take a picture with the ministers of government in this shot that you're seeing currently on your screen. Of course, this one didn't go without a little controversy, of course, on social media now, in terms of persons talking about who is and who isn't deserving of official passport. So that's a discussion for another time. We ain't going there tonight. This is an advert that we want to tell you about, and it says here that you can make easy money this carnival by renting a bedroom or an apartment to visitors in your home, in what they call, their home accommodation program. Now, you are accommodating these people in your homes. Now, to register your bedroom or apartment, you can call a message 405-8874 or 415-3811. All right, and they say to get in, you must hurry because people are booking now, and time is running out. So if you have an extra bedroom, or if you have an apartment, or if you have some space that you would like to rent to visitors for the season, then this is for you. 405-8874 or 415-3811. Let them know you heard about this on the Mikey Live program. That's an extra endorsement. Nurses are fleeing like crazy in St. Lucia from the island, of course, and that's creating a problem for the health sector there. Not only St. Lucia, but we have that issue here in Grenada as well. When we return, we want to talk to you about that. Stay tuned. We'll be back right here on Mikey Live.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom
for me and you.
I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. What a wonderful world.
This is the big one as Exterminator Movement, together with Young Guns Family, presents Job in the Club. Job in the Club, Saturday 29 June, inside Caribbean American Barn Lawn, 1640 Nostrand Avenue, and featuring live SXZ, Young Image, and Doorbell.
Take walk in your front, gal. Take walk in your front, gal.
Admission only $20, free food included. It's Job in the Club. No old boy. You get accessories on entry, and your DJ shelling it down. DJ One Drop, Young Gun, Exterminator Sound, Soul Vibes Radio, Mix Master, and the Drummers. So remember, Saturday 29 June, Caribbean American Barn Lawn, Job in the Club. Sponsored by Alouette Beauty Salon, Phenomenal Barbershop, Smart Cuts Barbershop, and On Wine Juice Bar. Be there.
The people say that is the best fete in the carnival. None of them holding secret for me. None of them. The St. Andrews Development Organization, in collaboration with Mr. Elimas Gilbert, say Specky Show 2019 will be a movie. You must wear it. Love the rum more than the woman. From Trinidad and Tobago, the Calypsonian who empower women, singing Sandra.
The way you cock up like a bloody acrobat. The wife at home they can't, she can do that.
From St. Vincent, former Soca Monarch, Calypso, and Road Match King, Posa. And top Grenadian artists. Stay tuned for more info. For vending, call 404-8131. Becky Show, August 4th, St. Andrews Rainbow City Festival weekend. The color is red.
The 3rd Annual Caribbean Comedy Show. Saturday, August 17th at Spice Basket. Stay locked for more.
I ultimate cut glass. You see what I done with it? You want to swear it razor grass. Look, I am a very, very serious man.
We all look forward to our retirement, enjoying our golden years with family, friends, and loved ones. The best way to secure an income during retirement is through investments, savings, and an NIS pension. Thanks to improvements in healthcare, Grenadians are living longer, healthier lives. These years also need to be covered by a pension to guarantee a comfortable life. Today you contribute 9% and retire at age 60. But as benefit expenses continue to rise, and with longer lifespans, the NIS won't be able to provide pensions and other social security benefits at this rate. To continue providing benefits, the NIS will need to increase the contribution rate from 9% to 11%, a 2% overall increase shared between you and your employer. The retirement age will gradually increase from 60 to 65 over an extended period. Let's put this into perspective. If you earn $1,500 today, your contribution is $60 and your employer pays $75. With a 2% increase shared between you and your employer, you'll now pay $75 and your employer will pay $90. That's only a $15 increase. These are the types of social security changes being made worldwide. In fact, Grenada has one of the lowest pension age and contribution rate in the region. With these small changes, you'll be able to continue enjoying all social security benefits and retire between age 60 and 65 with the guarantee of a pension from the NIS. If these adjustments aren't made now, then by 2035, the NIS will need to increase your contribution rate to 22.5%. So, what can you do? Support the incremental changes and continue with the solidarity of the Grenadian people. A little change today for a convenient, happy future.
right, thank you guys, and welcome back to the program. And yes, boy, we want to take a trip to St. Lucia right now to tell you about the nurses. Now, there is confirmation by the Ministry of Health that St. Lucia's nurses are leaving for greener pastures overseas. And that's not only something that's happening in St. Lucia, but we know that the same is happening here in Grenada. We now go over to the HTS at News Force for a report on that.
St. Lucian nurses are calling it quits. The situation at the island's main healthcare facility has affected several sections of its operations, including the intensive care unit ICU. According to the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, while the mass exodus at the Victoria Hospital is alarming, it is common with small island developing states.
I think what is happening at Victoria right now, especially with the ICU unit, is the fact that we are really feeling probably the pressure of the nurses who are resigning and taking up offer of employment in the more developed countries like the USA and the UK. But of course, we have sufficient nurses at least to keep ICU operational. So we think sometimes it is a rumor that, there are no nurses at ICU. The fact is that the pressure that we are facing is not only at ICU, but in all different sections of the secondary care unit, which is Victoria Hospital.
He believes that with the number of unemployed nurses in St. Lucia, this latest development makes room for those who need jobs. He says there isn't much that the Ministry of Health is able to put in place to prevent nurses from migrating. He argued that wages and working conditions will always be more attractive in developed countries such as the USA and the UK.
Well, I think the good thing about it is that we have a number of nurses who are unemployed in St. Lucia. Because we know some time ago, about 175 nurses were trained in Cuba. Quite a bit of these nurses are unemployed. Because let's face it, within the permanent structure of government, we have a certain number of positions. And we cannot fill positions beyond those numbers. Of course, the crunch is always that for not only for the health sector, but for all different sectors, you need additional positions, additional personnel. But let's face it, again, as a developing country with the limited resources, you cannot promise all nurses that all nurses in St. Lucia will be employed.
He says while nurses await the transition of the Millennium Heights Medical Complex, many are complaining about the short-term contracts they've been given.
With the advent of the commissioning of the Millennium Heights Medical Complex, we also have nurses on short-term contracts. Of course, has been an issue that nurses are working on short-term contracts for about 3 months, and they are raising issue about that. But the fact is that the Millennium Heights Medical Complex will be a statutory organization. In fact, it is a statutory organization. So these nurses cannot be employed by the Public Service Commission. So we have been putting them on short-term contracts, of course, because the board of directors or the commission in the transition into the Millennium Heights Medical Complex has not been completed. So in the meantime, the appointments have been made by the Permanent Secretary of Health to take on the slack where we would probably require additional nurses.
Earlier this month, the Minister with responsibility for health, Senator Mary Isaac, affirmed that healthcare in St. Lucia is improving day by day. Then it was revealed that the completion of some of the major units of the OKEU hospital will take as long as 6 to 7 months. Lizandy Boville, HTS News Force.
Yeah, the same is happening here. I find no one is talking about it, but soon we may just have a crisis on our hands. Now, the next thing that we have to tell Ollie, we will jump ship a bit and we would head over to Trinidad and Tobago. West Indies legend Brian Lara is assuring the public that he will be back in full effect to full health soon. Now, Lara was rushed to hospital in India on Tuesday after complaining of chest pain. But speaking from his hospital bed, he gave the assurance that he will be good.
To some sports news now. West Indies legend Brian Lara is assuring the public he will be back to full health soon. Lara was rushed to hospital in India today after complaining of chest pains. But speaking from his hospital bed, the Prince of Port of Spain gave assurances that he's on the road to recovery.
Just letting everyone know that I'm fine, I'm recovering, and I'll be back in my hotel room tomorrow. And a couple of the tests that came back already, the doctors were quite happy that there's nothing major. Okay, thanks again for your concern, and speak to you soon.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, right, and Olio, the next thing that we have to tell you about the impact of climate change is suspected to be the cause of the sharp decline in the landing of some of the fish species. Nowadays, they say flying fish is becoming a small percentage of the fishermen's catch. Not necessarily in Grenada, but it is also a story that we monitored on HTS News Force out there in St. Lucia.
Decline in the landed catch of flying fish has been noted for about a decade now. But according to fisher folk and those who monitor the fish landing stock, the last few years have been the worst on record. The proliferation of sargassum, which itself is being blamed on climate change, is said to be partly responsible for the decline in flying fish stock. Sustainable Development and Environment Officer Shanna Emmanuel says it's all down to global warming.
The issue of climate change is really impacting our marine sector, our fishery sector. We have been seeing a change in the types of fish that we are catching, and we really are not positive what is causing it, but we do know that we are experiencing increased sea surface temperatures. We also know that we have sargassum as a major issue. Now, recently there have been some studies done to say that sargassum seems to be thriving because it loves the warmer waters, which we know are caused by climate change, but it also loves the nutrients, especially the fertilizers. It's a plant, so the fertilizers that we are putting on our plants that are washing into our rivers and eventually getting to the sea are also contributing to that large sargassum mat.
The floating islands of seaweed are choking the life out of the ocean long before they litter the beaches and create a stench. The impact of sargassum is more stark on some species. The flying fish is a casualty of this condition.
We actually think that they are moving northward, for cooler waters, but also for waters free of these large mats that are really creating an issue. Of course, there's more research to be done in the area, and we're hoping to have that done over the next couple of years.
Viewfort is the main fish landing site in St. Lucia. The fishermen operating there attest to the decline in flying fish and blame it on the sargassum.
Could imagine a place like Barbados used to get a lot of flying fish in Trinidad. You're not getting much now. But sometimes when the fishermen go out to sea, they complaining they see flying fish, but it's jumpy, but we're not catching much because of that seaweed they call wawet. It's like a plague of climate changing. So I believe that the whole issue, over 10 years we have not been having flying fish.
In order for you to catch flying fish, you must put a boa in the water. A boa would be a floating device. We normally use old coconut trees, throw it in the water, and the flying fish would come and kind of congregate around that. Sargassum mats, though, are so huge that we're not sure if there are flying fish under it, but they're not able to come up, and what they would normally do is lay eggs, but they're not able to do that.
In Barbados, where the flying fish enjoys a near legendary status, the decline in this indispensable part of their national dish is not being taken lightly. But their fisher folk, like St. Lucia's, are at the mercy of climate change. They can do little but remember and regret. Stanley Lucian for the HTS News Force.
Yeah, boy. So that's their position on it. All right. We will have for you in a moment what's the national report. But before that, let's just take a quick break.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom
for me and you.
I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. What a wonderful world.
This is the big one as Exterminator Movement, together with Young Guns Family, presents Job in the Club. Job in the Club, Saturday 29 June, inside Caribbean American Barn Lawn, 1640 Nostrand Avenue, and featuring live SXZ, Young Image, and Doorbell.
Take walk in your front, y'all. Take walk in your front, y'all.
Admission only $20, free food included. It's Job in the Club. No old boy. You get accessories on entry, and your DJ shelling it down. DJ One Drop, Young Gun, Exterminator Sound, Soul Vibes Radio, Mix Master, and the Drummers. So remember, Saturday 29 June, Caribbean American Barn Lawn. Job in the Club. Sponsored by Alouette Beauty Salon, Phenomenal Barbershop, Smart Cuts Barbershop, and On Wine Juice Bar. Be there.
We all look forward to our retirement, enjoying our golden years with family, friends, and loved ones. The best way to secure an income during retirement is through investments, savings, and an NIS pension. Thanks to improvements in healthcare, Grenadians are living longer, healthier lives. These years also need to be covered by a pension to guarantee a comfortable life. Today you contribute 9% and retire at age 60. But as benefit expenses continue to rise, and with longer lifespans, the NIS won't be able to provide pensions and other social security benefits at this rate. To continue providing benefits, the NIS will need to increase the contribution rate from 9% to 11%, a 2% overall increase shared between you and your employer. The retirement age will gradually increase from 60 to 65 over an extended period. Let's put this into perspective. If you earn $1,500 today, your contribution is $60 and your employer pays $75. With a 2% increase shared between you and your employer, you'll now pay $75 and your employer will pay $90. That's only a $15 increase. These are the types of social security changes being made worldwide. In fact, Grenada has one of the lowest pension age and contribution rates in the region. With these small changes, you'll be able to continue enjoying all social security benefits and retire between age 60 and 65 with the guarantee of a pension from the NIS. If these adjustments aren't made now, then by 2035, the NIS will need to increase your contribution rate to 22.5%. So, what can you do? Support the incremental changes and continue with the solidarity of the Grenadian people. A little change today for a convenient, happy future.
All right, thank you very much. And before we go on to the national report, I'd like to remind folks that if you hear your name mentioned, then you need to call for 208226. That number again, 420-8226. All right, or if you know any of these persons or have a number for them, please ask them to call that number. That's Atiba Bartholomew, and that's from Tivoli, Carrier St. Andrew. Sholan Ambrose, Hillsview, Grove St. John, also Stafford Charles, Brizan St. George, Augustus Maitland, Buseju St. George, KCS Tron, Westerhall St. David, Byron Frank, Vendome St. George, Glen Canai, Post Royal St. Andrew, Errol McQueen, that's Errol McEwen, Carrier St. Andrew, Mondell Jeremiah, Marianne St. George, Alicia Joseph, River Road St. George, Kareem St. Louis, Laborie St. George, Sherryland Johnson, Mardi Gras St. George, Suzanne Samuel Andrew, Caruth St. Andrew, Omega Antoine, Marley St. David or Mondale St. George, Shakira McSween, Frequente St. George, Sheldon James Lamotte St. George, Tillet McSween, Woodlands St. George, Damia Gilliam, and that's Snug Corner St. George, and Kim Edwards, Ravine St. George. Please call 420-8226. We now have for you the National Report.
Grenada moves to the next step following completion of the national assessment of money laundered and terrorist financing risk. Details of this story and more in the National Report. Welcome back with the news for Tuesday, June 25th. I am Sherry-Ann Noel. After 2 years of engaging the public and private sectors, Grenada has completed a national risk assessment of money laundering and terrorist financing. And the World Bank official says reaching this stage means Grenada is well positioned to develop and implement an effective national response. Recommendations: one of the revised FATF recommendation requires all jurisdictions assess their money laundering terrorist financing risk. Grenada's National Risk Assessment, or NRA, was launched during the first workshop in 2017. The final workshop began at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium on Tuesday, marking the end of the NRA and the beginning of the implementation of risk-based approach to the AML-CFT, regulation and supervision based on the findings and recommendations from the NRA. World Bank representative Lisa Bostwick says by reaching this stage, Grenada is sending an important signal to the world about its commitment to combat money laundering and terrorist financing.
My team and I have personally supported the NRAs in 20 other CFATF member countries, as well as many other small island states around the world. And we are eager to share with you the lessons that we have learned from these other countries to assist Grenada in implementing a risk-based approach to regulation and supervision, as well as to share best practices developed by Grenada with other countries to help the global fight against money laundering and terrorism financing.
An objective of the two-day workshop includes discussing an NRA strategy for future years and formulating ways to further improve the quality of the NRA process. Mr. Darshan Ramdani, Attorney General and Chairman of the AML-CTF Commission, says money laundering, terrorist financing is an enemy to the progress of jurisdiction. He gave government's commitment to protect the safety and stability of Grenada's financial space.
We have been working to provide a comprehensive legislative framework, and only the beginning of this year, Act number 7 of 2018 was put in force, and some of you may have already been participating in the education process on the way forward. Mr. Pear has been involved in that. Ms. Campbell is to be commended for her work in that regard, registration of those relevant entities who are to be regulated. And this is a very significant measure, I must say, because I believe the passage of this piece of legislation has brought to the front for many of those entities which are to be regulated under the 2012 legislation. Because even though the 2012 legislation has been in place for a while now, many entities are today becoming aware, because of this piece of legislation that has been enforced from January the 1st, that they are to be regulated.
Minister for Culture and the Arts, Senator Nolan Cox, has announced some significant changes that can lead to major improvements in Grenada's biggest cultural festival, Spice Mass. During Tuesday's post-cabinet briefing, Senator Cox said one of the changes will be a reduction in the number of artists that will contest the final of Groovy, Soca and Calypso.
The first improvement that we thought that would be good to help increase the quality of the show was to reduce the amount of persons in the finals. We see previously ranging from, in some cases, as much as 14 persons in 13, as much as 13 in Calypso. Soca, we had as much as 17, I believe, 16, 17. I think 16 in groovy, 17 in soca. So it was quite a large number, and so we have revised those numbers downwards, and now we're looking at 10, inclusive of the defending monarch and the People's Choice artists. So there'll be 10 for calypso, 10 for groovy, and 10 for soca.
He says this change is in response to complaints from patrons about the duration of the shows.
The King and Queen of the Bands competition, which normally takes place at the beginning of the Matchcraft show, in dialogue with the Mass Band Association, we have now moved that to the halftime between. So after the first round in the calypso, we'll have the King and Queen of the Bands gracing the stage thereafter the first round. There was a school of thought that at that time more persons would be at the venue and get an opportunity to see the costumes on display. That was one of the challenges that has been facing the Mass Band Association. They are on board with this move.
Another major announcement made was that of plans to increase prize money for positions 1 to 4. We
are looking at increases within the range of a minimum of 10% and a maximum of 15% for prize monies. So that I believe will be welcome news for all our persons who are partaking and investing in Spice Mass for 2019. We thought that it is timely that we recognize some of the challenges that they have regarding the preparations, and we thought that this would be a good time to do that.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
Every summer, the Spice Island of Grenada is transformed into the Caribbean's biggest party, Spice Man.
Well, foreigners from all over coming down to Grenada.
Come experience the warmth of our people, trending theme fats, the revelry, the pageantry, and why we are the Jab Nation. The Kids Our Future shines on August 3rd in the Children's Carnival Frolic and the Junior Calypso Show. 7 beauties take center stage as the Queen of Carnival is crowned on majestic Thursday, August 8th. The prestigious Soca and Groovy Monarchs are crowned on Carnival Friday night, August 9th. Enjoy the pulsating rhythms of the Still Pan at the Junior and the Senior Panorama on Carnival Saturday, August 10th, and Real Steel, August 17th. The March Gras crowns the Calypso Monarch on Carnival Sunday, August 11th. 2 days of frolicking in the Caribbean sun kicks off on Monday morning, August 12th, with the biggest juve in the world, followed by pageant and Monday night mass. The creativity and splendor of our mass parades on the road Carnival Tuesday, August 13th. Join us in the Jab Nation of Grenada, August 8th to 12th for Spice Mass 2019. Many events, one carnival.
Welcome back. The government of Grenada has officially recognized the exploits of 6 young Grenadian soca artists who have been exposing Grenada's culture to other parts of the world. The 6, Digan Henry, Neilon Williams, Mandela MacDonald, Javon John, Hector Thomas, and Sean Delamade, were all presented with an official passport on Tuesday. They were also presented with the appointment instruments and signed an agreement of terms and conditions of the cultural ambassadorship. The function was attended by Minister for Culture and the Arts, Senator Nolan Cox, Youth Development Minister, Honorable Keith Lewis, Tourism Minister, Honorable Dr. Clarice Modest-Kerwin, and Infrastructure Minister, Honorable Gregory Boeing. Senator Cox says it is a memorable moment for him as Culture Minister, since this gesture will send a positive message to young and upcoming artists.
What it does, it shows a heavy responsibility on our new ambassadors because a lot will be expected of you in terms of how you carry yourself and to use this opportunity to motivate other young persons so they can aspire to want to represent Grenada in this capacity. So I think that is the core component of this initiative.
Tourism Minister Honorable Dr. Clarice Modest-Kerwin says her ministry and by extension the government have recognized their contributions and achievements.
Apart from the enjoyment you bring to us is the dollars that you can bring, dollar value you can bring to our country. So you have an awesome responsibility to sell our country well. So you bring them in and you have to teach them to dance the soca because now they want to experience They want to learn to dance, and forgive me if I say the word, they want to learn to whine. So you guys have to teach them that too. And so we have to create a product out of that, an activity out of that. Your skills, your ability, your enthusiasm to bring people right here. And when they come, we have to make them feel happy. We have to make them feel entertained. So I hope you're thinking about that. Not just Caribbean people, but people from far away as well, to bring them back.
Honorable Kate Lewis and Honorable Gregory Bowen also had words of encouragement for the newly appointed cultural ambassadors.
This is testimony of our government's commitment to youth development. We are here awarding our young soca artists, cultural ambassadors, with an official passport. And I'm very happy that we are able to do so. I recognize all of you, but of course, Hector, coming from not just my constituency, but from my backyard. I mean, I know him well, and I know the struggles he has been through to reach to that stage. And I want to recognize him, define all the odds he had to, encounter in the musical journey.
Look at our young men in particular and carve out a niche in your cultural performance, in your messages, to bring these young men. You will know more about them, up to par. This will augur well for our economy. Our economy cannot go forward, and our social lifespan in Grenada will never improve unless we take the young men, from where they are and bring them on par with their potential wives. Yes? That is of critical importance. Otherwise, we'll continue to be down there. And I have no doubt from what I see here. That is from my community, but I've been following all of you, independently. Since, again, the cultural ambassador before, sometimes he will call me and say, there is a big multi-million-dollar economic proposal for Grenada. And I say in my mind, yes, he came through the Cultural Foundation, but he understands what Grenada needs. So he's talking about economy. Imagine a cultural ambassador calling the minister and advising me of how I should contact a certain group that he met when he was touring Europe.
And with this, we come to the end of the National Report for today, Tuesday, June 25th. I am Sharian Noel on behalf of the entire news production team, thanking you for viewing.
All right, thank you very much, Sharian, and everyone else who were part of the production of the National Report. What we want to do right now is to take a brief look at the weather, see what it will be like for tonight. All right, we can expect a chance of a few brief showers tonight. Tonight's minimum temperature just about 25.5 degrees Celsius. Winds are east-northeasterly to east-southeasterly at 12 to 22 miles per hour, gusting higher at times. Seas moderate, waves up to 6 feet in open waters. And that's our weather report for today. Information brought to you by the Grenada Met Office. And before we wrap up tonight's program, we want to say hello to Jennifer, Camille, Gemini, Kireen, Zaka, Charmaine, Hazel, Crispin, Sassy Girl, Lewis, and everyone else. Ezra, I see you there. Mishy's there as well. Trevelyn is there with us as well. And everyone else. Rose, oh, you're there. And Allah is with us as well. Deslin is with us. And Risi is with us. My mom, my sister Lintona, and everyone else on the program. We want to say thank you very much, Zaka. Yes, thank you. And Eunice, I see that you're there as well. Thank you as well. And those of you who are on YouTube, thank you as well, all right, for tuning in to tonight's program. Wendian, I see that you're there as well. Yes, Crispin, I see you there as well. So take care, guys, and we're going to have another interesting program for you tomorrow, God's willing, right here on Mikey Live. Let's go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we all say, Ja! No. Good night, everyone.